Hello and welcome to all. In this video, I'll be talking about the preamble of Indian Constitution. Let's get started. Every constitution contains a philosophy, and this philosophy is kept in preamble of constitution. So, preamble is the philosophy of the constitution. And this preamble is a preface of Indian Constitution. It is an introduction of Indian Constitution, which sets the ideals and goals which the constitution makers intend to achieve through that constitution. The preamble contains in a nutshell its ideals and its aspirations, as Supreme Court said in Golaknath versus State of Punjab 1967. Supreme Court also said in Reberbury Union and Exchange of Enclaves in 1960 that preamble is a key to open the mind of makers, as based on objectives and resolutions of Pandit Nehru. This preamble is adopted by the Constituent Assembly on January 22nd, 1947. And if we read the text of the preamble, we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. And if we see the preamble, it reveals four ingredients or four components, that is, sources of authority of the Constitution, nature of Indian states or Indian Constitution, objectives of the Constitution, and date of adoption of this Constitution. So, the source, we the people of India, that this Constitution is given by people to themselves. And nature of Indian states, they are sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. And the goals and objectives, justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. And date of adoption of this Indian Constitution is on 26 November 1949. And if we see, the adoption is on 26 November 1949 and the enacted on 26 January 1950. There was a 2 months gap. And why this gap is because of our first Prime Minister, that is Pandit Nehru. Go back to history. In 1929, the historic Lahore session of Indian National Congress, which declared the objectives of Indian National Congress is Purna Swaraj, complete independence. That is on 26 January 1930. So we celebrate Independence Day for the first time on 26 January 1930. So because of this reason, Pandit Nehru thought that we should enact this constitution on 26 January. So, nature of Indian states. Sovereign. It can make or unmake any decision with respect to itself without interference by any other foreign country. So, independent to create and enact laws which will help people of this country, which will be beneficial to the people of this country. Democratic. Constitution ensures the creation and existence of the government at the will of the people through elections. Democracy denotes people's powers and equal participation of all citizens in the polity, as Supreme Court said in R.C. Paudyal versus Union of India 1994. Democracy is the system of government by the people, for the people, and of the people. Nature of our democracy is representative democracy. Representative democracy means it is a system of democracy where people of the country elect their representatives. These elected representatives legislate on behalf of the people for larger public good. We do not have a direct democracy where single representative take part in decision making process. Where single representative take part in decision making process, that is direct to democracy, but we are following representative democracy, where the representative legislate was taking the legislation on behalf of the people for larger public good. and republic, that of the state is elected and not a hereditary monarchy. And socialist, it indicates the incorporation of the philosophy of secularism, which aims at elimination of inequality in income and state and standards of life, as in DS Nakara versus Union of India 1983. Socialist was not the word from the original constitution. This was inserted to the Indian constitution by Indira Gandhi, by Miss Indira Gandhi, through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1976. Mrs. Indira Gandhi was asked, what is your definition of socialism? And she said, we have our own brand of socialism, that we do not believe in the Marxist explanation of socialism, where it says that there is no private property, all the property is communally owned by the population. Supreme Court was also asked, what was the definition of socialism in this country? And then Supreme Court said, socialism of this country doesn't mean we shouldn't have own private property. Yes, of course, we are allowed to own private property, but this private property kept under check for larger good of general population. Government can snatch the private property if it want to construct public needs like roads, schools, etc. That is for larger public good. This word socialist is not found in original constitution. It was amended and added by the parliament in 42nd Constitution Amendment Act. By the same Amendment Act, Parliament was also inserted the other word, secular. Secular. The state protects all religions equally and doesn't uphold any religion as the state religion. This in itself is one of the glowing achievements of the Indian democracy. When our neighbors such as Pakistan, Bangladesh, Burma uphold particular religion as state religions. Secularism means state will not proclaim any religion as state religion and protects all religion equally. Our constitution of secularism is different from the Western concept of secularism and also from the communist concept of the secularism. This type of secularism we have is communist states. In Western concept of secularism, they say that we will not interfere in any religious affairs of the people. For suppose there was something that was happening in September 11, that is attacks in US. The Twin Tower was attacked, which is a World Trade Organization. On the ground floor of this Twin Tower, there exists a mosque. And the Muslim community in US decided that let's rebuild this mosque after Twin Towers was destroyed. There was a huge conflict in United States that we shouldn't allow a mosque to be created there. Ultimately, there was a petition to the government and the President Barack Obama reacted and he said, we have no right to interfere the religious affairs of the people. If you want to believe, if you want to build, then do it. So Western concept of religious matter, secularism, you can practice any religion in four walls of your home. The government will not interfere there. Government will not promote one religion against the other religion, will not discriminate. You can do whatever you wanted to do. And in communist society, they believed widely in Marx, where he said religious is the utopia of the people. Karl Marx said religion is the sign of oppressed creature, the art of artless world, the soul of soulless condition. So in communist society, you cannot explicitly profess your religious identity. We had seen this in Russia, where prior to Russian Revolution, there was 8,000 churches, and this number dwindled to less than 1,000 after the Russian Revolution was successful. In China, there is a province which dominated by the Uyghurs, a religious minority belonging to Muslim community there. These members, which are the part of the government there, they cannot fast them during holy months of their fasting. They cannot say their prayers in public, restriction in religious freedom in communist society. So there was different form of secularism. In Western concept, they do not interfere in religious affairs. There was a different form in communist society where they interfere and disallow you to practice religion in public. But in our country, in India, we have different model of secularism where we promote every religion, we protect every religion, we safeguard all the religions. Freedom, and the freedom of religion is under the fundamental right. We also give subsidies to religion. We do not discriminate any religion or proclaim any religion, and we believe in equality.